I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call and quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick but I'm harder than all it is. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve, stress, she on my greed. That's how I get it, success ain't no giving. Some days I don't eat, I don't sleep. When I'm focused, I'm dangerous, they don't wonder when I'm anxious. Ain't no limit till I tank, I'm running on fumes. The opposition don't amaze, the roads racing through the pavement. Get your hands out of my bag, I know that's because I've been in it. I don't need to brag, I guess that's what happens when you taking care of your business. But some family, you do the math. I'm out of my pocket, Houston, we got a problem, man. Perfect, let them watch me elevating, got them nauseous. Cause I'm the pilot in the cockpit, nose diving in the house and whoo. Watch how I get ahead, watch how I get ahead, watch how I get ahead. Watch how I set it up, bet you I shut it down, watch how I get a win. I don't think they really wanna come against the winner, got a finger run up in on a grenade. I ain't never been there when you think you compare. I'm a line, but the winner about the cage. I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call and quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all it is. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out.
It's the motherfucking intro. I'm just trying to get that money like 1-0-0-0-0-0-0-0-0-0. I'm here with Gino.
Hey, Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game. I'm a player. Feeling like Pac. Represent. On my block, try to knock me down, but I come up on top. Yeah, they wanna see me flop. Got a plot, want a lot. I won't stop on my pops. Got so many flows, it's insane. They don't really understand the game. Got a plan and it's plain, I ain't playing. I'm just trying to game. I wanna get that big bag, need that big racks. Blow up Tic Tac with a blue cheese at. I don't give a fuck about your feedback. Eat that, get back, sit back, watch me spit that kickback. Got so many flows, yeah, they think that I'm insane. Ghetto kids in a lot of pain, all about the bills, ain't shit changed. Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game, I'm a player. If you a hater, I don't hate you. I'm just really happy that I ain't you. I just wanna thank you. You kept me motivated, so now I motivate you. There's a lot of cake, money on my mind like a banker. Coming through with them bangers, ain't no room for mistakes. Lot of stake, hustle till we get a lot of rooms, lot of stakes. Good kid, but I keep it gangsta. All gas, no brakes. Got cash for the case. More cash in the case. More cash in the safe. More cash on the way. Hustling all day. Ay. Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game. I'm a player.
Danger, coming with them bangers. Where my fucking paper.
Up or down, we get paid either way. Long when it bounce, short when it break. Yeah. Up or down, we get paid either way. Long when it bounce, short when it break. Market go red, that's dinner on place. If you only win one way, you late. Yeah. Up or down, we get paid either way. Money in the bank when the candles shake. Broke boys pray, we calculate. If you fear both sides, you too late. Yeah. Price go up, I ride the wave. Price fall fast, I short the gray. They need green just to feel okay. I make money in a hurricane. If you bullish only you half a trader. Market turn red, you a spectator. I stay paid in every layer. Volatility, my elevator. They panic selling, I'm scaling in. They revenge trade, I'm stacking wins. They chasing candles, I fade the trend. They cash out calm while they hold the L. You want direction, I want range. You want hope, I want exchange. You want luck, I want edge. That's why my account don't beg. Up or down, we get paid either way. Long when it bounce, short when it break. Market go red, that's dinner on plates. If you only win one way, you late. Up or down, we get paid either way. Money in the bank when the candles shake. Broke boys pray, we calculate. If you fear both sides, you too late. I don't need green candles to eat. If you're scared too short, you're scared to win. Profit don't care about direction. Bulls celebrate, bears pay me. Volatility is my direct deposit. Your hope is my liquidity. I don't predict, I position. Fear is where the entries live. You pray for pumps, I prepare for dumps. I make money in corrections and celebrations. The trend is your religion. The range is my income. If the chart move, I get paid. Up or down, we get paid either way. Long when it bounce, short when it break. Market go red, that's dinner on plates. If you only win one way, you late. Up or down, we get paid either way. Money in the bank when the candles shake. Broke boys pray, we calculate. If you fear both sides, you too late.
Rolling through the drive-thru, large Diet Coke, no. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, man, we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream. Trying to get my light open here. What is going on? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here. Well, we don't go live every single day, at least during the boring bear market price action, guys, but we're getting a big move here. Bitcoin continuing to the downside, and shout out to anybody that was watching the market update yesterday. We did have some lackluster confirmations yesterday for a bounce, making us suspicious of another drop to the downside, and here we are finally taking out the $60,000 low. Something we've been looking at for quite some time. Of course, the shorts are absolutely paying right now, but the question becomes, where are we going to get a bounce? Because there has been almost no retracement at all. when on the entire way to the downside, these retracements have been super, super, super small and basically just an absolute meltdown to take out $60,000. But now that we have taken out $60K, are we about to see a little bit of a bounce? I'm going to break it down on today's live stream. And if we do break down lower, guys, I'm going to show you the next key levels we're looking at. We'll take a look at some volume profiles. We'll take a look at the money flow, as the money flow is able to help us identify that we would very likely be sitting at these lower targets. Bitcoin currently attempting to hold local support. And I'll take a look at it with you guys in just a second. But shout out to the Candlemafia. Welcome in. We got Darren Does Things in the chat. Welcome in, brother. Long time no see. He was in the premium Discord. But yeah, we got, let's see. We got Beetlejuice in the chat. Lindo, what is going on? Said the goat is in the house. Shout out to Lindo. Appreciate that, brother. But we got Beetlejuice. Alex Becco, what is going on? Says, we here, Frankie. Thanks for the live today. Yeah, no problem, man. I mean, we've gotten this big drop to the downside. And, of course, as we've covered the price action leading up to this point, we are at a major, major, major place. And, I'll get deeper into it a little bit later in the live stream. But shout out to you. We got big huggies in the chat. I hope you guys have your huggies on because things are getting pretty brutal out here. At least, I mean, if you're not holding the shorts, it's pretty brutal. If you're holding the shorts, getting paid out pretty nicely here. But without further ado, guys, don't forget to smash that like button if you appreciate these live streams. And if you saw the market update yesterday and it helped you out, smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of these updates on this crazy price action. Finally, of course, I never root for price to go down, guys, even when I'm in a short. Of course, everybody wants price to go up. But kind of nice to see some kind of movement here outside of our kind of choppy range, right? We've had some nice movements recently. So I'm thankful for that and thankful for the shorts continuing to pay us out because there is not only money to be made on the way up, guys. If you know how to short the market like we do, there's plenty of money to be made on the way down. We'll talk about the trades as well. We'll cover all the key levels. I'm going to give you all the sauce. And we'll even cover the longer time frames or the higher time frames. And we'll check in on those as well because, of course, we do have some major, major bear market targets. We already hit one yesterday. We got more sitting below us. So I'll give you guys my overall thought process on the higher time frame. So even if you're just an investor, and not a trader, stick around. We're going to give you the sauce. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. Poor Lucy, guys. Lucy today has been neglected because I've been sitting here live with the premium Discord earlier today. She's getting neglected. She's just sitting in her cage. I took her out to pee a couple times, but she didn't get to hang out in the studio today. But here we are, guys. Oh, man, what a drop to the downside. Now, obviously, guys, we saw this coming on the charts simply looking at our macro volume profile. Let me hide these anchored VWAPs real quick. We knew once we got below this value area high, as I talked about on all of the live streams, I have to remain bearish to anticipate the fill of this volume profile all the way down to the value area low. And even ever since our drop here below or drop from $82,000, I guess technically $83,000. We did take the short position. I am still holding a portion of that trade. I'll just kind of rough it out here for you guys. Short from pretty much the top here. Explaining to you guys as the money flow came out on the lower time frames on our way down here, started to look a little suspicious. Once we came into that major $74,000 target, we had the 12-hour money flow, everything coming out, indicating once we got accepted below that value area high, we would very likely see that full fill of the volume profile. And of course, when we got down here, we talked about how I tried to front run what my sentiment would be. Once we saw this daily money flow coming out, of course, that assisted the high probability of our push to the value area low. And, when I tried to front run what my thought process would be down here, it was that this would probably not hold. And once we lose that value area low, it would be very likely that we come down and take out that $60,000 level. And as you guys can see, at least looking at a 4-hour time frame, when you look at this on a lower time frame, we got a little 1-hour SFP. I did not take that trade, luckily, because we did come back down. But when we start to look at this, right, we have taken out $60,000, which is that major, major area. We did get a potential 4-hour, or not potential, but this 4-hour SFP has confirmed, and we could see a little bit of a bounce from this level. We were looking at this live on the premium live stream, just letting them know, like, hey, man, we have the SFP. I did not take the trade. I probably would have taken it as a scalp if I was on the chart, but I had some things to take care of. I was not sitting there. But we did get that drop to the downside. We didn't get any more low time frame SFPs, but as you can see here, we have some small divergences. Now, to be honest with you guys, I may enter a long position if I can find some kind of a retracement here in anticipation of a little bit of a push up. I'm going to cover the key levels of resistance and talk about kind of my overall bias because, of course, we have remained bearish through this entire drop to the downside based on our daily money flow crossing into the red. But you can see our VWAP is coming up, indicating some kind of a bounce after taking out that key level. We now have a 4-hour confirmed SFP. I'm happy to be a little bit late to the long position here, as any of these other retracements have been very lackluster. But as we've taken out 60K, we do have a chance of getting a little bit of a bounce here, but we do have plenty of resistance ahead. And with our daily money flow coming out, guys, my bias does still have to be, until proven otherwise, that we are likely to put in lower highs and eventual lower lows to come in, targeting our next big area of support. I covered this with you guys on the market update yesterday. We have the weekly, the daily, the monthly MPOC and the weekly MPOC sitting in this zone down here. This is high time frame support. So if we do come down and put in yet another low, if we do get that money flow on the daily to continue to play out, giving us a lackluster retracement, lower highs, lower lows, this is still going to be that big level to look at, sitting between $58,214 and $54,728. This is also obviously confluent with our 2021 macro value area high. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I've covered it so many times. But of course, we do have major support in here. And as I covered yesterday, the 300 week moving average. Let me come in here and pull this up for you. The 300-week moving average also coming in beautiful confluence with this zone. This is a major bear market support. Usually when we look at the longer time frames, going to have to pull up the Coinbase chart here. Let me pull up the 200-week and the 50-week. Obviously, the 200 and the 300 are kind of where we start to look for that accumulation, right? Or obviously, you guys know I do think we have entered some kind of an accumulation, anticipating potentially new lows to come in. But at the end of the day, this could end up turning into some kind of massive accumulation. I don't know exactly how it's going to look, but we tapped into the 200-week yesterday, and underneath us, coming in perfect confluence again with our major horizontal supports, is going to be that 300-week moving average. And taking a look at the Coinbase chart here, whoops. It's annoying. Guys, I don't know what happened with Bitstamp. Bitstamp used to be where I look for my historical price act. It's fixed. Never mind. I don't know what was happening. I was not the only person that had this problem. We talked about this in the premium Discord. They cut off their data. But it's back. Thank God. This is so much easier. But of course, this is historically where we start to see the lows come in, right? We had the 200-week, right? And then in 2018, or technically 2020, we came back down to test the 300-week, but at that point, the bottom was already in. And then in 2022, we test the 200-week. At this point, do we go lower? Yes, this is just right along plan with what I've been talking about as far as just looking for some kind of a bottom to form here. You test the 200-week, you break it, you bearishly retest it. Of course, the bottom is not in, but it does not call for a massive capitulation, right? This is just kind of where you come up, you put in one more low into that 300-week moving average, and then you get the weekly bullish divergences, which are very nice bottom confirmations. You wind up flipping the moving averages and then getting the big move into your bull market, making this somewhat of an accumulation zone. And the reason I talked about the 300-week yesterday on the market update was because we obviously were expecting lower. We didn't know if we were going to, slip it slightly or if we were going to come down and test it. But this is the time to pay attention to crypto, guys. Nobody wants to buy Bitcoin when it's up here. And I know, a lot of people are anticipating 30K. Of course, that is not my base case right now. There is a scenario where we can see that happen. I've covered it many times. I'm going to skip that for today. We'll cover that when it becomes more likely. But at this point, right, oversold RSIs, etc., major accumulation alert signals. And we're down here again, right? There's never been a case where we've lost the 300-week moving average and then got a 50% dump to the downside. Of course, if that becomes higher probability, I'll be the first person to let you know. But I just want to let you guys know, this is the time, especially if you left crypto. And we've noticed this, when we went live for the dump, viewers doubled, right? And it's very clear. Once you're in a bear market, people walk away. And, if you have walked away and you have come back because of this volatility, this is not the time to walk away from Bitcoin. Even if we were, for some reason, going to go down to 30K, this is the time to pay attention. You don't want to be one of those people that are buying on the way up, hoping for super higher prices, and then it's not until you come back down that you realize that you were super late and should have been paying attention down here. There are a lot of signals on the chart that we are much more in a scenario of something like this rather than something like we're up here and we're about to see a massive capitulation. So time to pay attention, guys. Now, could we come down to the 300-week moving average? Of course, as I've mentioned, right, I actually preferred to take out this low because there were a lot of things on this first drop to the downside that I did not like for a strong bottom. And one of those things was there was no bullish divergences, right? There were no high time frame bottom confirmations, such as a daily bull div, 2-day bull div, weekly bull div, etc. It was just kind of like big wick, and then we get the retracement. But now that we have come down and taken out these lows, you could see these higher time frames could be setting up for some kind of a divergence, which would be very nice, especially if we do push into these lower levels. It would be very similar to 2022, right, where we push into that 300-week. The sentiment is absolute garbage. Nobody thinks it's going back up. It's going to zero. 8K incoming, 5K incoming. Of course, we knew that this was a bullish divergence. Weekly bullish divergences have a super high hit rate for a macro bottom, and especially when you put it into those key zones. Right? I always say you want to have your key levels on the chart, and then you want to look for those confirmations. If we could get something like that, guys, until that gets invalidated, my overall thought process is I'm pretty optimistic that we could be a lot closer to the bottom than a lot of people think. The same thing I was saying when we came down here. Yes, we can go lower, but I do think that is looking a lot more from a technical perspective that we could build out some kind of accumulation, and it could call for new lows, but overall, this is the time to start paying attention to Bitcoin. If you've been sitting out through all this, definitely time to pay attention, right? This is not the time to start paying attention to crypto. I know it seems counterintuitive. It's like, but it's going up, right? But if you're not in, it's already too late. You should not be paying attention in order to, looking to buy up here, right? This is where you want to be. If you got in late on this cycle, maybe you saw the Trump news, all that stuff, you started buying in here only for a lackluster higher high before continuing down. It's obviously a little bit late, right? You're probably looking back like, man, I wish next time Bitcoin dumps, I'm going to be, next time Bitcoin's in this situation, I'm going to pay attention. That's easy to look at in hindsight, but hard to do when you're back down there because you actually feel the emotions of the fear down here. So, of course, my long-term frame bias does remain the same. We are coming into major levels. You could potentially, just like 2022, right? You could even lose the 300-week a little bit. The biggest level on the chart for me, in order to anticipate 30K incoming, is going to be $47,000. So as long as we can hold above that level, I do remain optimistic. Once it looks like trash down there, I'll be the first person to let you know, like I said. But yeah, not looking too shabby here, right? I know, obviously, oh my God, it's nuking, but long term, kind of just right on track still, looking for that lower low. And of course, this is nice because if we can get these weekly bullish divergences, it could indicate at least some kind of macro bounce. And then, on the way back up, it would very likely become very clear that the bottom is in, depending on what it looks like on our way up. So that's the long-term viewpoint. I know a lot of people are just investors. They might just be looking like, what the heck is going on with Bitcoin? It's just typical bear market activities. And we're right on track, in my own personal opinion. So I'm going to jump down to the lower time frames here with you guys because, of course, as I mentioned, Bitcoin is, here we are, coming up to test the 200-week moving average again as resistance. But when we look at our volume profiles here, I'm going to pull up our, our bottom range. Bada boom. Here is the volume profile. Let me just, get this off. I'm just going to hide the moving averages for now. Take the 200-week, 300-week off the chart. So yeah, here's our volume profile. This was our previous value area from back here in 2024. This is what helped us identify where price would gravitate to once we got this big capitulation. We bottomed out on the value area low, got support on the POC, got the bigger breakout. We shorted this sucker from the top all the way back down. And now we have gotten accepted inside that profile. Just like all of the other profiles we've looked at, once you get accepted below that value area high, you can even see it here on the lower time frames, breakdown, bearish retest, POC is next, can't reclaim the POC. Very likely, you're going to look to go to that value area low. And at this point, guys, we have deviated below, and we have gotten a reclaim of this value area low. This could potentially, with the SFP of 60K, could give us a bit of a bounce to the upside. And I'm going to give you all the key targets that I'm looking at because, of course, with our daily money flow coming out, could indicate lackluster bounces, lower highs and lower lows. And to be honest, with this fast drop to the downside, guys, oftentimes we look at those fast drops down to indicate that we could see fast pushes back through that. So I'll cover those key levels of resistance, but overall with the money flow coming out, we do have to be aware that we could easily see money flow right now on the daily is pointing towards lower highs and lower lows. So if we do get the bounce here, or I should say the continuation, what are we up here right now? A nice little 4% bounce off that value area low, or at least the SFP. But if we do continue up, what are the biggest levels of resistance to look at? And it gets a little confusing down here, guys, because we do have a lot of ranges to look at. I think this is probably the easiest one to look at right now. We have the value area low at about 59,850, pretty much the exact low that we came down here in early 2026. POC sits at about 67.3. And then the value area high sits up here at $70,000. I'm going to show you guys, I showed you yesterday on the market update how I'll handle this, but there is a little bit of an update as we have come lower. So very simple, right? Not looking for fresh shorts at a value area low ever, or just in general after a massive dump, right? I'm never looking for fresh shorts. Could you short a breakdown and, get in on the continuation? Of course. That's not really the way I trade. I like to look for shorts at the highs, or my short that I'm holding, or one of my shorts that I'm holding right now is from the push up here. That is typically where I like to look for the shorts. And then the longs, like the only thing I can look for as we're pushing down into support are long positions. Still, I would say the bigger area of interest is going to be sitting down here. So if we do put in the lower highs and lower lows, then this is going to be the next big target. And once we get down there, guys, or if we have to get down there, this is going to be really, really, really important for Bitcoin, right? Because once we get accepted inside this lower value area high, comes very high probability we get down to that POC at 47K. And then if we can't hold this, that's where the doorway to 30K opens. But of course, we're still pretty far away from that. So again, my long-term bias still remains that we still have good support down here. But if we do get the retracement, what are those key levels of resistance? So number one, let me pull them up here. I do have them saved in a folder. And I do, so I have them saved inside of the other profiles. I wish these were separated. Let me just clean this up for you a little bit. I'm just going to look at I don't want to look at the profile necessarily, but I do want to look at, keep this, keep that. I'm going to take everything else off except for the fib. So this is the profile that I'm going to be looking at right now, guys. If we can hold on top of this value area low and we get a continuation up here, of course, we do have the 200-week moving average getting bearishly retested right now. So there's going to be local resistance. But if this turns into a bigger bounce over the weekend, the biggest levels I will be looking at are going to be the golden pocket sitting right here at about $65,000. And we do have a lot of confluence on these zones when you start to pull up the other ranges, but I don't want to overcomplicate things for you guys. I know the confluence is there. Makes me feel a little better about those as big levels. For example, right, when we pull up our other ranges, you can see, hide this, right? This golden pocket is also confluent with the macro value area low, or I'm sorry, lower support value area low. But for the most part, I just want to keep an eye on the Fibonacci levels just to keep it nice and simple, because this is going to be the roadmap for price. And, again, you have confluence here. We have a lot of confluence in here. But very simply put, stay above the value area low. Where is the next place we're looking for price to go? Well, very simply, guys, it is going to be that POC of the range, which currently sits at about $67,300. We also have the 786 Fibonacci retracement up there. So I view these as two separate zones. You could view it as one major big area. But number one, if I'm looking for lower highs and lower lows, this will be kind of the first major area to look at. If we get, maybe potential lower high, lower low, if we get above that, right, we're just going to look for a continuation into that POC 786 area where we do have a significant amount of confluence. We have some daily MPOCs. There's actually two daily MPOCs in here, 786 Fibonacci retracement, point of control of the range. And we also have some liquidity sitting up there. This is a level that we looked at when we were bouncing here, but we couldn't make it all the way up there. But when we look at the volume profile rotations from the value area low to the POC, get above the POC, could potentially head up towards the high. And with money flow coming out, we do have to be careful, right? If we had daily money flow in the red, about to cross into the green, I'd feel really good about the full rotation and a potential larger continuation to the upside. Right now, money flow on the daily is pointing against that, and that's why I bring up these resistance levels, because if you want to try to catch some shorts, these are going to be the areas to look at. So zone number one, still haven't changed, right? Like these have moved slightly because the Fibonacci retracements have moved. And let me just make sure, daily, weekly. Yeah, so we got the, and I do believe, let me pull up an anchored VWAP here for you real quick. Yeah, and you do have your anchored VWAP pulled up here from about 78K, coming down into that zone as well. So you do have a lot of confluence in here. Of course, if I pull up the liquidation heat maps, pull it up on a weekly time frame, you'll be able to see that liquidity sitting at about 67 to 68K. Where's it at? Right here, right? Big old fat spot of liquidity here. 67.5 all the way up to about almost $69,000. That's what I have marked here on the chart. What do we know about liquidity? Liquidity acts as a magnet for price. So the closer we get to that magnet, right, again, this is going to be a local intermediary level. But if we can get above that golden pocket, number one, high probability target of the PLC getting hit. And then the closer we get there, that liquidity can start to act as a magnet. And this would be an area where I would be interested in potential short positions. Of course, it's going to depend on the confirmations we get, what the money flow looks like, etc. But right now, again, with the overall sentiment here being, when money flow is coming out, guys, money flow indicates the overall trend. Money flow crosses green. Sure, you could get pullbacks, little ebbs and flows, but money flow indicates the overall trend. When it comes to the money flow coming out, it's the same thing, just flipped on its head. Daily green dot prints could give you an ebb or a flow to the upside, but money flow coming out, as long as that stays in the red, we can still look for lower highs and lower lows to continue the overall macro trend to the downside, which of course gives you the target down here between 58 and 54,000, about $54,000. But of course, right, am I just going to look to short at support, looking for that level to come in? No. Would have been nice if we pushed in here earlier today. But we're holding the value area low. So these are going to be the next big levels. Golden pocket sits between 64,792 and about, call it 65,155. And then above that, you have your 786 into the liquidity. I would say this sits between about, 66 and $68,000. Now, if we do not get a retracement here, or I'm sorry, a rejection, right? Of course, we'll have to identify what money flow looks like, what the confirmations look like. Maybe I don't take a trade here. But if we do end up getting above that POC, very, very simple, guys. I'm going to be looking up to the next major level of resistance, which sits between about 70,000 and 70,500 into the daily MPOC value area high. This will give us another opportunity to look for rejections. This will be a simple deviation above the value area high for potential short positions back down to the low. Now, of course, depending on what the chart looks like when we get up there, I don't know if I'm going to be viewing this as a short position for a lackluster pullback and a breakout, or if we're just looking at this as a typical short the high, go to the PLC, lose the PLC, back to the low for a new low to come in down here. Too soon for me to call for that just yet. But money flow, at least as of right now, I don't know if we're going to get back up to 71,500. But if we did, right, we have to make sure that that money flow is still in line. Money flow, we get new signals, new information on the chart every single day, week, minute, hour. I don't know what the heck that was. But if it looks good up there, well, hey, maybe not want to be shorting those highs. But as of right now, that would be the bias based off money flow being in the red. It's the same thing when we looked at the macro range here, right? Once we came down here, this is a beautiful place to be potentially looking for a higher low and a higher high. But as we got the dump, we saw all that money flow coming out, indicating that we would want to hold our short positions from 81K and look for that full rotation of the volume profile. The initial thought process was this was a big area of interest for a bounce. But once we see that new information, we have to take it into account, right? And switch our bias, right? I always say, I am in the game of if the chart proves me wrong, I want to be able to prove my original bias wrong as soon as possible so I can make money. It's not about being right or wrong, right? I don't care if I'm right or wrong. If I'm wrong, I just want to know that I'm wrong as fast as possible. So very, very simple. Right now, I would keep an eye on this major value area. Looking pretty nice right now. Now, again, we do have a lot of resistance ahead. So it could feel really nice. But let me pull up that 200-week moving average. Oh, my God. Shout out to Golden, baby. Let's get it. Golden with the 50 Frankie Candles memberships. Let's go. The GOAT. Golden in the chat. What is going on, brother? Thank you so much for gifting those memberships. You are insane, bro. And thank you for showing love to the Candle Mafia as well. If you just got a membership, start spamming that new golden emoji that you just unlocked. Let's start a golden waterfall. Not a golden shower, guys. Golden waterfall. Start spamming those golden emojis. And he dropped a super chat as well. Thank you so much. Said Michael Saylor is a punk. He bought all his coins using OTC, which did not help push the price up. Now, when he needs to start selling his coins, he's probably going to dump it on the open market and push price down. The manipulation. Shout out to Golden. When you buy OTC, if you don't know what he's talking about, over the counter, it's basically like a person-to-person handoff, right? So it's like, if you give me cash for some Bitcoin, that's not going to be affected on the market, so it doesn't move the price. That's we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And then, once we start breaking 47K, guys, maybe that's the Black Swan event that we need to push us down to 30K. But again, that still won't be my base case until we see the signs on the chart. And we'll see. We'll see. Michael Saylor, the poor guy, just gets roasted constantly. But shout out to Golden. Welcome in, brother. Hope you're doing well. Shout out to Muhammad, said, before I could do a membership, where do I learn all the basics and stuff? Shout out to Muhammad. Check out the beginner series on the YouTube channel, completely free. You can learn all the basics of what we look at here on the chart and make these calls for the price movements on Bitcoin. So definitely check that out. Shout out to Zach. Thank you for the super chat. Said, Golden says, we dump. Frankie's not convinced about the pump. I say squeeze them shorts tonight. Make the Bears donate a like. Shout out to Zach with the weekly poetry. Shout out to Zach. Hope you're doing well, bro. And I know you were holding the short in the premium from up here, so hopefully you were able to make a nice little bag off that, brother. So, yeah, I would say if in the most bullish case, if we do get the pump, guys, I will be looking at this profile for simple context, right? The value areas give us, or the volume profiles give us a beautiful roadmap on what price is likely to do. So I would say right now the biggest key level of support is going to be about 59.8, which funny enough, is, again, that like pretty much 60K low that we talk about. So as long as we can hold on top of that, you got the little SFP, even if we retrace, right, hold on top of that value area low, we could start working our way up towards that point of control around $66,000 to $68,000. Got the liquidity, all the confluence up there in the levels, and of course that POC becomes a magnetic target. Of course, you can pull up the local levels to your heart's desire. We do have a nice little local volume profile here. If you want to get some local context, I'm not going to really cover that today because it's just super low time frame. But overall, right, looking for that drop below 60K. Technically, we have gotten it. At the end of the day, right, if we get a push up and this money flow decides to fake out, it would have to fake out in a really big way. But I do just want to I want to be very clear, right? Because people always say, are you bearish or bullish, right? It really depends on the time frame you're talking about. Right now, we're pushing off support. We got some, even if you look at like the lower time frames, take a look at like the 45-minute, right? Maybe your 45-minute money flow can continue up. Throughout all this just continuation to the downside, the signals on money flow get a little bit extended. But yeah, if we could see some of this low time frame money flow continue up, not only could we see that magnetic target of the POC, but you have to understand that, if we have a lot of shorts funneling in here, eventually, like Zach said, right, start to squeeze those shorts. Once those shorts start getting stopped out and liquidated, it'll create market buys in the books, right, which would cause a push to the upside, right? That's literally what a short squeeze is. If you didn't know, right, and when people say short squeeze, what does that mean, right? Well, the reason is when you get stopped out or liquidated out of a short, it creates a market buy. So once you start, for example, let's just say you got, whatever, just above the previous highs, you got stop losses here, right? Even stop losses here, right? Above this high, sure, we can look for a potential liquidity sweep, honestly, on any of the levels, right? Maybe you get a sweep, SFP, could cause a correction to the downside, but you do need that confirmation of the SFP, because if you come up and you squeeze into that liquidity, two things can happen, right? Either you can get the liquidity sweep, or it could just cause a continuation of the squeeze, which would fill perfectly inside that profile. So like I said, I'm happy to be a little bit later than early to this long position, but overall, that is kind of the roadmap that I would be looking at. Very simple, key levels of resistance. These are going to be the major zones. And then, of course, once you get above $67,000, start flipping that into support. When we look at our, I really kind of regret putting these all in the same folder. Let me just clean this up for you really quickly. Right, once we get above that $68,000 level, at that point, right, we're getting accepted into this upper profile from our previous value, and that will just give us a little bit more of a local context, right? Major resistance, right? Could get a rejection there. If we get above it, well, guess what? You're above the PLC of the range. Where's the next likely place for price to go? Into the value area high. What is that confluent with? That $71,500 level. Now, I don't want to get too carried away here, but for example, I'm going to say for shizzies and giggies here, if we get above this value area high, where's the next level, right? Well, it's going to be around $76,000. Let's pull it up here, right? Value area high of the macro range, right? I know we have a lot of ranges here. Don't worry about it. I'll be able to check back in with you guys. I don't think we're just going to like Lambo candle directly to 76K, obviously. We could just continue down. But like right now, just to kind of clean up the ranges that you should be looking at, right now I would say this is the most relevant range. Value area low, 59,850. POC, 67.3. Value area high, 71.5. And again, the upper ranges, like that previous value area, is confluent with those zones, right? So it's not like you're going to miss the level if you're looking at, whether you're looking at this volume profile or you're looking at this volume profile, you're still going to get the same levels. So just to keep it nice and simple, I would just look at the macro range. If we get above here, the biggest level to look at, in my opinion, is going to be the $76,000 level, which, of course, is the third profile. Hide these anchor VWAPs real quick. Sitting up here, value area high, right? Just from a totally different context. Make our way up here. Look at that. You get that $65,000 golden pocket that we just covered right there. Again, like I said, there's confluence on all these range levels. Golden pocket, value area low. Once you get above there, POC brings you into the $68,000 level. Flip that. There's your daily MPOC and local value area high. Get above there. Next major target, again, this is really far away, but would be the macro range value area high, sitting at about $75,000 to $76,000. Again, super far away. We'll have plenty of time to cover this. But I would say for right now, over the weekend, this is probably the range to keep an eye on. Even if we do deviate back down below, let's just say we do get a rejection, we come back down, right? This is still going to be the most relevant range to look at because it's the closest to price action. Does that make sense? So let me just pull those. All right, so these are going to be the next major targets. Let me just set my alerts here. Bada boom. I think I already have an alert set there. Can't see it. I'll just set another one here as well. Bada boom. So I'm going to come into the chat here real quick, see what you guys are feeling. And I'll pull up that range here. Let me just see if we have any like medium time. So there's your 4-hour green dot. Yeah, so I think if you're going to see this trend continue up, guys, the big signal I would look for is this 15-minute money flow to cross into the green at the same time as our 4-hour green dot printing. That is a market cipher B 1/16 bullish setup. 4-hour green dot could give you an Eber flow to the upside. And in line with that 15-minute money flow, that Eber flow to the upside on the 4-hour can look like a nice trend continuation on that 4-hour money flow crossover. Money flow indicates trend. Green and red dots indicate the ebbs and flows. So that's what I would look for if you get that 15-minute money flow crossover for the bigger continuation up. First towards, I would say, about $65K, and then into the $66,000 to $68,000 zone. Let's see. Shout out to Mad Ads. Can you take a look at Zcash? Yeah, Zcash getting absolutely plummeted. I will take a look at that with you guys in a second, but let me just check in on chat. Love tonight's stream. Shout out to Nacho Libre. I appreciate you, brother. Welcome in. Smash that like button if you appreciate the content. Is it possible to double bottom on the 200-week moving average? I mean, listen, anything is possible, right? Like, it's kind of a hard question to answer. You could try to build out an argument for anything. Pull up the 200-week. Right, a little double bottom on the 200-week. Is it possible? Yes. The only thing I don't like here is that daily money flow, right? Like when I see that money flow coming out on the daily, I'm just very simply going to have to anticipate lower highs and lower lows, right? And let me pull the full fib here from the high to the low. Where's that come in at? Yeah, that's the 75 to 70. Let me pull it up here so you just see, right? That's going to be confluent with that macro value area high. So it's really hard, right? Like I have all these ranges on my chart, and I don't want people to get confused by the volume profiles. There's no real wrong way to look at it. You could just look at this as a deviation below the low. Once you reclaim the value area low, you can look to go to the POC. And again, these levels are all basically the same. That's that $67,000 to $68,000 area. And then once you get above the POC, you can look for the long-term continuation up towards the value area high at $76K. But of course, like throughout all this price action, there's going to be little ebbs and flows. And that's where the local resistance can come into play, right? Because if there's money to be made here, even on a scalp before continuing up to this level, I want to be aware of those levels. So I don't want people to get confused on which volume profile you should be looking at. I mean, the key levels are really what you want to pay attention to, and whether you're looking at the smaller profile, the larger profile, it doesn't really matter, right? Especially if you have someone here telling you, like, hey, all these levels are confluent. You don't really need to, you could take my word for it. There is confluence there. So if you just want to look at it through the larger profile, you could just say, hey, I don't know, that 65K level is, confluent with the value area low. You don't need to know that's there. I know it's there. I'm telling you it's there. And it's not my opinion, right? It is literally sitting there. So we get accepted in the 65.3 weekend long to 67,000. I mean, that would be the thought process, right? Not financial advice. Of course, it's not a guarantee. But, obviously, once you get above that value area low, right, well, chances of coming into that POC become very likely, especially if you have your money flow on your side. But if we get up here, right, and I have all the money flow coming out, this is why I always say it's not as easy as just, like, flipping a level and knowing the trade is going to play out. You're never going to know 100% if your trade's going to play out. You got to risk it, right? And that's why risk management is key, right? But I, for me personally, right, if you flip that value area low, there's two ways to enter these volume profile type trades, right? You can wait for a deviation below the low with confirmation. There's no real bull div here on the 2 hour, but you potentially, again, I've talked about this many a times on the way down. A lot of these bullish divergences are very extreme. I don't love the look of these bullish divergences. Can they give you a bounce? Yes. I really like to see these a little bit more locally into the level. But let's say the bull, you could look at this as a deviation. You could try to catch the long down here on the deviation, maybe off of the bull div, maybe off the SFP, and then you have a really, really nice entry, and you could ride that into resistance. Or if you want to be a little safer than sorry, you can just simply wait. I wouldn't keep your stop loss down there, but you can wait for more of a sign of strength, right? You can wait for the push up, wait for the reclaim of support here, and then take the trade a little bit more like this. Yes, your entry is not as good, but of course you can argue it's a little bit of a safer entry because you've already gotten accepted into your profile, making this a high probability target. So yes, this would be a valid setup, but you need to make sure that you understand the context, right? It could happen two different ways, right? If you have everything lining up for you, all your money flows coming up, right? You would know, you should be able to identify whether the trend continuation is likely. If you have money flow on your side, it becomes even higher probability. But if we come in here and we put in some bearish divergences into these levels, right, and money flow is coming out, I'm going to be more likely to short that level. So yes, it would be a valid setup, assuming your confluence is there. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. Yeah, 30-minute also. Yeah, you do have some lower time frame bull divs down here as well. So we'll see if we can get above that 200-week moving average. A little local bullish divergence into that SFP level. So that is a little bit of a nicer local confirmation, more locally into the key level. But yeah, just from a general kind of direction standpoint here, guys, swept the low. Once we get above the 200-week, that's going to be key support. And then, once we get accepted in here, like the goal is deviate below the lows, cheap price action, get back in, POC, value area high. And actually, this is pulled to current price action, so I would want to pull this up. Deviate below the low, get back in, flip the low to support, POC is next, you remain in the range, back to the high. Deviate the high, back in, can't get out, back to the low. Back to the from the low, back to the high. Above the high, back to the POC, can't get out, back to the low. From the low, obviously we took these trades in the Discord, long $66,000 into 82K. We knew that was likely for a big breakout because of our daily money flow crossing into the green. But a lot of people tell me, hey, the volume profiles are great. I'm short in the highs. I'm long in the lows. I understand the context, the confirmations. How do you know whether this range, right, beautiful, short, long, short, long, short, long, right? How do I know whether this is going to break down eventually or break up eventually? Because we all know price is not going to range forever. So how do we do that? High time frame money flow, right? So this money flow crosses into the green. The higher probability is to see a breakout and a continuation of the trend. Very simple. So if we get back into this range, depending on what the daily looks like, right, at this point, money flow is coming out. This is more indicative, in my opinion, of breakdowns, right? Lower highs and lower lows. Doesn't mean it can't be proven otherwise, but that's just got to be the base case here, right? Money flow. It's almost like if I were to just fade this and say, oh, this is going to break down and go to the lows when money flow is coming up. Why would I do that, right? Same thing here, right? If we pump up, money flow is coming out, lower highs, lower lows is going to be the higher probability. If we get up there, maybe we have other signs on some lower time frames. Maybe that daily money flow is coming back into the green. We could change the sentiment up there. But again, there's no way for me to do that until we see what happens there. I could try to front run it, but obviously it doesn't mean that it's going to look like what I think it's going to look like. I have to actually see what it actually looks like. Let's see. Shout out to JoJo, said Frankie and Mafia, you make it sound so easy. Shout out to JoJo. I try to keep it as simple as possible, but I also try to be transparent on, trading is, the theory of trading is simple: buy low, sell high, right? But when you start to put money on the line and the intricacies of context and all that, there's a learning process, right? And that's why I come up here and teach it for free every day. Because, you don't have to, shell out a ton of money to learn. You can just watch these live streams. Pump and get rejected from the value area low. That's my thought process, right? And it's not set a limit order here. When price comes here, I'm just shorting, right? This is a trap. Trading is a game of trapping, not hunting. I say this every day. Trap number one, this is the same thing from the live stream market update yesterday. Trap one, trap two. When I come into the trap, I look at the order flow, I look at the live price action, I look at the money flow. Is the mouse taking the bait? If the mouse takes the bait, I'm firing on a short. If the mouse does not take the bait, I'm going to sit on my hands and wait for the next major target. Push up in here. Is the mouse taking the bait? If so, I take the trade. If not, then no, right? Then I'll just expect the next trap. Now, of course, there could be opportunities to get in on longs on your way up. The thing that you need to really learn is you have the trap set. This is kind of the easier part of analysis, is finding the key levels and identifying the context. But the important thing is to know when to pull the trigger. And that's something we talk a little bit more about in the premium Discord. You get my personal trade setups, what I'm looking for, confirmations, etc. But right now, guys, I'm kind of just sitting on my hands. I am not holding a long position from down here. That does not mean that I don't think price will go up. But I'm just kind of sitting in my shorts, chilling. Obviously, the shorts are a massive profit. And my swing shorts from much higher, around 98K and 91K. So this one's up about 13,500. I already have massive profits locked in on these. I'm holding these as like bigger swing shorts, kind of like longer bear market short positions. I'm holding that one over on Blowfin, and then I got the other one up about almost 14 grand unrealized. Still have profits locked in on this as well on WeX, and then I have the more, I guess you can call it local short here that I've been holding from up here. Profits also locked in on this. Shorts are all guaranteed winners at this point, and I'm going to continue to hold them, right? Especially the swing shorts. I've already locked in such big profit on them. If we get some kind of massive move up here and we just rip, I'll just stop out and profit on those. Obviously not 14 grand in profit, but I already have tons of money locked in, so it'll be, whatever. I'm not going to lose money. I'm going to make a ton of money either way. But yeah, like with money flow, right, I'm happy to hold on to these shorts to see if we can hit those next bigger targets down between $58,000 and $54,000. If not, I'll stop out of the shorts and profit and, hopefully find a long position on the way back up. Not, unless I have like super strong confirmation, not really interested in catching knives. And again, right, like after big moves like this, we've already capitalized so much on the shorts on to the downside. I really like to let price kind of settle down, right? Give me some context. Again, the only profile I can pull other than looking at the upper profiles, the only profile I can pull down here is like this local profile here. So maybe we get a little bit of settlement here, right? We kind of bing bong around. We can get a little bit of a better view, better context on through a volume profile to see, right? Like maybe we create some kind of like a small range. And then we come back here Monday, we can look at that range and say, okay, hey, we're rejecting from the value area high. Money flow looks good. I'm going to take a long here. Sure, you're not in from the tippy bottom, but you can still catch some nice setups. But I'm just going to be patient here and let things settle down a little bit. And if I miss a move up into the next key levels, I'm totally fine with that, right? I do not need to catch every single move. I know sometimes you might watch these live streams and be like, oh my God, this guy long the bottom, short at the top, long the bottom, short at the top. I have no problem missing a move, right? I'm not going to be like, oh my God. Because obviously that's going to add a lot of motion to your trading, and then you're going to wind up chasing at the wrong time. Let's see. I'm not catching knives. Shout out to Sergeant Squid. Sometimes it works out nicely. But again, if I have strong confirmation, it's very difficult. Like even this drop to the downside, you guys obviously saw me hold this long from 66,000 to 83K. Beautiful long position, right? But, at the time when we got the capitulation down here, even though we came down to our range low, right, or our value area low, rather, right? Sure, the volume profiles give you the beautiful roadmap for price. lose the high, right? Even talked on the live stream here, guys. Like, I'm not catching this knife. Wound up being a good, I'm not looking for support here, looking for acceptance and a move to the POC. Am I going to catch the knife here? No. Money flows in the red. I'm looking for a rotation to the value area low, and then boom, right into the value area low. My style of trading is not to set a limit order here, right? Because what happens if there's no confirmation? Well, chances are likely that you're going to continue down. There was no real confirmation here, right? We didn't have bullish divergences. It was just like a big wick and a big bounce. Was I crying about missing that? No. We got the short position back down, and then we traded within the range. And then eventually, once we created new value, which is right here, we had a very clear context of where we were looking for the longs, where we were looking for the shorts, where we were looking for the longs, and, of course, where you could have an area of interest for a short, but money flow helped us hold that swing long from $66,000. We had nice bullish divergences with an SFP back into the range, back to the POC. You hold it, back to the POC. You hold it above the POC, flipped into support, back to the high. At that point, 8-hour money flow, high time frame money flow is continuing up, but really the big sign there for a bigger breakout. A lot of people bearish down here, guys. A lot of people, oh my God, how could you be longing, right? Why are you looking for a breakout? We're in a bear market. Well, I'm not looking for a breakout to $500,000. I'm just looking for a breakout of this range, and it's clearly identified by the money flow. Clearly, right? We had clear confirmation, clear money flow coming up, high probability move for a move up. Right here, I don't really have that, right? I have the opposite. So I just have to be cautious. Doesn't mean it can't change on the way up, but I do just have to be cautious. There is still a lot of weakness in this market. So there you go. Let's see. If there isn't enough of a range to pull a decent profile, can you pull forward previous volume profiles to get an idea? I don't know exactly what you mean by that. Shout out to Rononymous. I don't know exactly what you mean by that. You can't pull profiles ahead. But for example, the profile I'm using here for context is pulled from previous price action. It's pulled from this previous area of value before the breakout. So yes, you could pull this, extend the levels to the right, and then use that as context on your way up. Absolutely. And it would be the same thing for the macro range as well. So same thing here, right? I mean, this is still technically a previous profile because I stopped it here before the impulse down. But yeah, this is technically pulled, from slightly previous price action. And then again, right, you can look for acceptance, POC, value area high. Just because the profile is not pulled to the current price action does not mean those levels aren't valid. Hopefully that is what you meant. Oh man, I don't know how to say that name. Shout out to you, bro. 4746. 4746 said, "How's your Supra, Frankie?" Shout out to you, brother. The Supra is great. I'm not gonna lie, I like that car a lot more than I thought I would. The turbo sounds get me every single time. Still haven't done anything to it. It's still bone stock. I'm still enjoying it bone stock. Hopefully not going to be bone stock for long, though. What should I do to it? Car guys in the chat, fellow car guys. What should I do? Downpipe and tune. I'm definitely going to do that. I kind of want to do something crazy to it. I kind of want to make it like almost undrivable on the street. But it is my daily, so I can always drive Mrs. Candle's Tesla, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. Tune, downpipe and a tune. But I don't know. I might want a bigger turbo. I don't know. I also am kind of at this point in my life, like, not interested in dealing with a bunch of like running different fuel and stuff, and it runs rough, and I got to work on it. Like, I'm not really interested in that, so I want to make it as much of a race car as possible without dealing with a ton of problems. But yeah, downpipe and tune. Yeah, 2JZ swap it. I've thought about it. My neighbor's got a Mark IV, and he works at a tuning shop. I haven't talked to him, but I see him outside. He's got an R34 Skyline, and he's got a Mark IV Supra. And he gave me the head nod one day, and the next time I see him outside, I'm going to stop by his house and be like, "Yo, bro, I know I'm in a fake Supra compared to you, but turn this into a race car with me. Let's 2JZ swap it." Maybe he'll give me the 2JZ out of his Mark IV. That'd be sick. Titanium exhaust, that'd be fire. Yeah, can't drive a sports car without an exhaust. Yeah. I love honestly, it sounds really good stock, but definitely need an exhaust. Just to add flame stickers. Some Fast and the Furious decals on the side. Just put an obnoxious wing on the back. Yeah, Bitcoin struggling to get above the 200 week. Yeah, a little bit. Shout out to the premium Discord. A little bit of local resistance we were looking at. Let me take a look at that. Yeah, so right now, guys, I just kind of wait this 15-minute money flow out. Got the 4-hour green dot printing. You still got about 2.5 hours for that. So in my opinion, you do have plenty of time to see this kind of bing bong around. Maybe get a red dot on the 15-minute, get a little correction, and then have that 15-minute money flow continue up. If you get that crossover into the green, that is really what I'd look for to see this local trend continue to the upside. And then locally, of course, you can look at this kind of local profile. I'm not going to mark out the box and everything just to save time. But yeah, right? You got your value area low. Once you flip that into support, if your money flow is coming into the green on the 15-minute, POC can be your next target. Flip the POC, looking up to the value area high. This local range, value area low, 62,270. POC sitting at about 63K, and then value area high of almost 64K. So if you're for any day traders or scalpers out there, if you want to look over the weekend, this could be kind of the local range that you play around with. But again, for me personally, I'm kind of sitting on my hands. If we get a big retracement, maybe I can look for an entry. But again, I'm kind of happy to be a little later to this move than early. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Jay Pippin. I have an 07 S2000, bro. Fire. Speaking of Fast and Furious. What was that guy's name? I forget. That was a sick S2000 too. Let's see. Do I like BMW? I mean, I guess if I drive a Mark V Supra, I guess I do like BMW, right? But yeah, listen, I'll be honest, man. Like, from a performance aspect, I think BMWs are sick, right? I mean, if you don't think an M3 comp is cool, I mean, it's a fast car. So I do. I think they're awesome. I think they're the performance is awesome. Just never. I mean, they're cool looking cars. They're just M3 comp was in my kind of that was one of the other cars that I was looking at. It's just I don't know. I wanted something that looked a little bit more sports car, and I love the look of the Supra. But at the end of the day, it is, I mean, it's not as fast as an M3, but I do like the looks a little bit better. So, yeah, BMWs are sick. Yeah, M4 Comp is a beast. I mean, it's insane. It's absolutely crazy. Now I got to soup my Supra up so I can hang out with the M3s out there. At least the stock ones. You can't tune a Supra without unlocking the ECU. My specific model is unlocked. It was actually part of the reason I didn't get a manual. Otherwise, I would have got a manual. I get it. People are like, is it automatic or stick? I'm like, it's automatic, but I did it for a reason. I've driven stick before. Trust me. I'm in the stick family as well. Any Audi gang members? Audis are sick too. Dude, the what is it? The TTRS? I saw some guy with that thing worked like crazy. That thing is insane. That thing is a rocket ship. I mean, it probably weighs like 20 pounds. Yeah, but the M3 comp with the carbon bucket, paid $98 cash off the lot. Yeah, it's a sick car. It's absolutely a sick car. C8 ZR1X, yeah. C8s, forced hate, man. I like the C8s. They're cool. I get it. It's a wannabe Ferrari. I get it. But I think it's still a cool car. Two things can be true at the same time. But yeah, I was also looking at McLarens, but again, I'm not in the I really don't want to deal with problems, and apparently McLarens are very, very unreliable. I just didn't want to deal with it. Where am I from? I'm from New York, baby. New York. Come on, shoot up. Yeah, we'll keep an eye here. Is this a car channel or a Bitcoin channel? Well, we just went over Bitcoin. Just kind of waiting to see. Just kind of wait and see. We're half Bitcoin channel, half car channel, half dog channel. Let's talk dogs now. Let's see. When Lambo? Lambo soon. Once I get bored of the Supra, I won't get rid of it. I will never get rid of the Supra. I think it's a car I'm going to hold on to for a long time. I love that car. I really do. Well, more than I thought I would. But I did need more of a daily. I don't know. I would daily a Huracan. But if I got a Lambo, I'd really go for the Aventador. Yeah, Lambo and maybe Aventador in the bull market. Maybe. Guys, I bought a lot of altcoins. Pray for me. All right, let's take a quick look at some of the altcoins. Obviously, guys, Zcash. We'll keep an eye here on Bitcoin. I'll just set some local alerts here. We'll go above this high. And then we'll go into this golden pocket retracement. But taking a quick look at some of the alts here, guys. Zcash absolutely collapsing. I don't mean to laugh. That's not like a laugh of joy. It's just a laugh of like, oh, my God. Volume profiles, guys. Volume profiles. Let's take a look at here at the daily. Pretty simple, all right? You push into your major resistance level, right? We look at this volume profile on the way up. Bearish retest on the value area low, but your money flow was coming up on the higher time frames. I think the 3-day money flow. Oh, no, 3-day money flow looked like trash. 2-day money flow starting to work its way to the upside. Bearish retest on the value area low. We have the golden pocket 786 retracement here. We marked this off on the live stream. Ended up being the higher low for a break into the volume profile. Once you get above the value area low, POC, value area high is next. You had major resistance up here, your macro golden pocket 786 retracement. Deviate above the highs. Very simple bearish confirmations here on the daily bearish divergence. I wasn't really looking at Zcash, so I wasn't looking at this, but you get the daily bearish divergence. You break down to the value area high, bearish retest on the 786, back in, fill the range in full. Obviously, a massive collapse down here, and I know this had something to do with something breaking or something. There was some kind of event that happened that caused this, but still, even with the narrative, where does price wick down to? Once you lose this value area low, where is price likely to gravitate to? Previous value. Where did we bounce? The previous value area high. Where is price settling here on the daily? Above the value area low. It really is insane, guys. So, yeah, absolute collapse here. You are attempting pretty big bounce. I would say right now your biggest key level of support right now is going to be your $356.50 value area low. All right, so in the bullish case, you get back in here, you hold support. Maybe you can get a retest of the POC, but this is definitely going to be your biggest key level of support. And other than that, right, like if this does just end up being a, let's take a look at some of these higher time frames, 16-hour money flow crossing into the red. So, of course, you do have to be a bit careful here for potential lower highs and lower lows, right? And then underneath you, I would say, obviously, you do not want to get accepted back into this value. Once you get accepted back down in here, PLC is next. Lose that, right? Down to the value area low. But, yeah, this is just violent. You know, can't pull any big profiles here just yet. We just have to be kind of stuck on our previous profiles. But, yeah, I mean, you did get the reclaim of your value area low. So if you could hold on top of that value area low, it might be able to push up here to the POC. Not a signal, of course, but once you lose this, pull the fib here. Yeah, I mean, I would just pay attention to this range, and we can get rid of this macro resistance because that obviously did give you a big drop to the downside. And I would mark off the next major resistance level. So value area low, 350, yeah, call it 358. POC, 408.83. And then, of course, if you get above that POC, you can look for the push into the value area high Fibonacci retracement zone between 493.97 and 561.64. All right, let's see. Guys, don't be scared to buy. Yeah, I will say this, guys. Of course, you know, I say this, understanding price can still go lower. But as I mentioned on the live streams on the way up, if we do put in a lower high and a lower low, I am going to be looking to accumulate more, right? Started my dollar cost averages here. Pause them for the push up. As we come back down, I am going to be buying Bitcoin once again. And if we continue down, I will continue to weighted dollar cost average buy in. Like I said in the beginning of the stream, this is the time to pay attention to Bitcoin. You want to buy, right? Not financial advice. I'm not saying we're not going to go lower. To be clear, I am prepared, right? I bought here. We came up and we went lower. Am I upset about that? No. I just buy more. If we come up and then we go lower, am I going to be mad that I bought here and here? No. Am I going to be mad that I'm buying here, 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 and here? If we go here, no. I'm going to weighted dollar cost average buy on the way down. And if we just rip up from here, at least I'm partially exposed to the market. I'm happy to be in that position, right? All right, let's see. Shout out to Bleh. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Says ZBCN and Caspa TA. Please, I appreciate your insights. Shout out to Bleh. Shout out to Jesse. Took the words out of my mouth. Friendly reminder, super chats do not guarantee that we will look at your altcoins. It's just impossible to look at them all. And then we just get a bunch of like dollar super chats and we literally never get off the live stream. But I will try my best to take a look at ZBCN and Casper for you, brother. But first, I do want to take a look at some of the bigger altcoins. We'll check in on Ethereum as we've looked at. You can't make it up. You can't make it up, guys. What happens? We see this as our key major line in the sand. When we lose, if you've been here in the live streams, what did we talk about? Cannot reclaim the 786. Where is the next magnetic target? The monthly and weekly NPOC sitting at 1588. Here we are. Here we are. And I'll be honest, guys. I hope this holds. Because when we look underneath us here, this is, there's not much underneath us. Let me actually hide some of these levels. Just clean this chart up. Take off these profiles. I think I have this bigger range pulled. Get rid of this. We can now extend this profile. So I think this is a clean view on Ethereum. All right, you have your macro, cheap, expensive, expensive, cheap, expensive, approaching the cheap price action here. So we can actually pull this as a new macro profile. Pretty sure I already had this. Maybe not. But let me just pull this real quick to give you a macro outlook. There's your high. There's your POC. There's your value area low. So very clean. You could have also been looking at this. Pulled to here, right? Before you got the rotation here. It's just a macro profile. Deviation above the high. Back in. Can't get out. Back to the POC. Little bounce, back down to the low. But I'm going to pull this to current price action because we're inside value. And, of course, you have your monthly and weekly MPOC and your value area low. Major, major support. Or I should say majorly important support. So, yeah, this is your kind of overall outlook on Ethereum. Full fill of the macro profile. Let's take a look. Daily money flow. In the red, very similar to Bitcoin. So could be careful. If we get a bounce here, your biggest level of resistance is going to be the POC at 1818, which is still, of course, looking at it from this perspective, the same key level that we looked at from a different perspective, which was the 786 retracement. Lose this, looking down towards the monthly and weekly MPOCs. But if you just look at this through the volume profile, which I think is just a simpler outlook, lose the POC, where's the next likely place for price to go? Value area low. So we have tapped into the first major zone. If we continue down, you have the value area low sitting here at about $1,500. This is key. Once you lose this, the next place I have to look, guys, is going to be 1334 to 1250. So hopefully you can hold this, and at least either from here or on the push to the value area low, biggest level of resistance is going to be the POC at 1818. If we deviate, if we have to get a bigger deviation below, this would be a major, major level to look at. And if I could try to front run some of these higher time frame confirmations, I mean, got lower lows on your price action, higher lows on your momentum waves. There's your weekly bullish divergence into a major key zone of support. So we'll see. I mean, obviously the green dot is not printing yet. We're going to need this to kind of push up a little bit to print the actual green dot. But you could be in store to print a weekly bullish divergence here soon. Coming down to the 2-day. No bullish divergence, unfortunately. 3-day, getting pretty close to invalidating. So I would definitely kind of, let this play. I would let this play out a little bit because it's going to take some time for that weekly to print the div. But if we get that weekly bullish divergence, I mean, you're into a key level of support here. So again, is this where I would be looking for a fresh short on Ethereum? No, it's at a just like on Bitcoin. It's at a value area low. I can't look for massive shorts directly into support, right? I need to be looking for some kind of a bounce, even if my bias is to look for lower highs and lower lows, right? I can't look for shorts here. It's too late. You already missed the move down, right? We're short from up here. Same thing here for Ethereum. If I wasn't short from the high, this lower high, or this lower high, right? I'm not looking to enter the short on this big red candle. I would have to wait, either just sit out and wait for a retracement to look for another opportunity to short, or I would have to be looking for a bounce, right, and capitalize on that bounce. On Bitcoin, the major shorts shorted pretty much the top, right? I think 124.8 was my entry up here at the top, then shorted 98K, then shorted 82K, right? All major lower highs. Now, of course, there were scalp shorts to be had inside the local price action, but the major swing shorts were all from these major higher lower highs. Not chasing the short down here, right? I'm not chasing the short down here. I'm taking profits on my short from the highs down here. And then looking for new shorts or to add to those shorts on the retracements, right? Because, of course, with weekly money flow in the red at this time, or just coming out in general, the idea is high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So we try to catch those lower highs, which we literally caught every single one of them, which is nice. We don't always, it's not always the case, but in this case, we did. Let's see. Are we bottom watching? Shout out to H-Bar Moonboy. I mean, depending on the time frame you're looking at, I would still say I am bottom watching here on the higher time frames. Maybe even locally bottom watching here. Not necessarily for the bear market bottom, but locally bottom watching for some kind of a push up. Yeah, done with ranging. Yeah, I know. This would, yeah. I mean, this gets a little bit of excitement in the market, even if it's negative excitement. But, we usually see these summer kind of, summers are typically very boring. I hope we don't just end up ranging around. It would be super, super obnoxious, at least for the content. It's Rob's birthday. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. I don't think he's in here, but it is Rob's birthday. Happy birthday, Rob. Everyone smash the like button. Shout out to Tutti. Appreciate you. Smash that like button. He said it, not me. Money flow for hype. Still got your 3-day money flow in the green. Yeah, let's take a look at this real quick, actually, because we've been watching hype recently. Covered this yesterday. Or I'm sorry, day before yesterday on the live stream. We updated our key support levels. If we got a big correction from our major target. And shout out to, we had a couple people in here saying they wanted to long. And again, this is never a signal. Just because I don't want to long doesn't mean you shouldn't. But I kind of talk about why I would not long. Or actually, someone asked me to review their trade. They longed, and they longed up here at $73,000. And I just mentioned, listen, like you could get a bigger breakout. But for me personally, is this a place where I would ever chase a long position? And if you've been here and heard me say that, this is why. I'm not longing the top of these green candles. Never in a million years am I longing the top of these green candles, ever, unless it's a micro scalp, right? Unless I'm looking for a lackluster retracement for a higher low and a higher high. I am locking in massive profits here. Same thing here, right? I am never looking for a major long position after I've already missed a massive move to the upside, and this is exactly why. Why wouldn't I do that? Well, I'm just longing into a major resistance target that we talked about. We covered this on the live stream when we were pushing up through this profile. If we put in new all-time highs, where is that next target going to be? It's going to be right here between 68.32 and 75.35. Look where the top came in, right on that Fibonacci extension target. And yesterday, as we got the push down, what would we be looking at? Next major levels of support, golden pocket, value area high, daily and weekly NPOC. Zero reaction there, right? And this is why I'm a reactionary-based trader. You have no confirmation there, right? You just melt right through the level. So what do? Take that level off the chart. All right, no reaction, no reason for the long. At that point, once you lose, these volume profiles make it so easy to promote them. Not like it's something I sell. It's free on TradingView. But they're just so easy. Once you get below that value area high and can't get out, you are expecting to get a move down to your next major key level, which sat right here, the level we marked out yesterday. Or I'm sorry, 2 days ago, technically. 56.59 to 58.713. And you have the beautiful context of your volume profile, right? This is obviously a zone to the 786. But once you get below the high, you're looking for a move to your POC. Once you lose the POC, you look to go to your value area low. And there is the bounce from the value area low. So there you go. But I would still say high time frame. 3-day money flow. Crossing into the green. Red dot printing, which of course, once that red dot prints, you could get a lackluster pullback, at least in the grand scheme of the higher time frames, for a potential higher low and a potential higher high. Now, you do have the fresh 3-day red dot. Just because you're getting a nice bounce from the value area low does not mean you can't go lower. But hey, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't, just like I wouldn't long after a big move up here. Locally, I would not enter my long position here. It's just a little late, in my opinion. Doesn't mean it can't continue up, but if I were trading this personally, I would rather catch it at the value area low. See if you had any confirmations down here. Yeah, little 15-minute bull dip directly into that value area low. I would rather, for my leverage trades, catch it locally into that value area low, longing into a dump on support, right? Not longing into a push up really close to local resistance, right? Because at that point, where's your stop loss going to go? Where's your first target? Not a great risk to reward, unless you were viewing it more of like a swing trade. Still a little late in my opinion. But we'll have to gauge how this bounce plays out. If you can get back above the value area high, I would still say you have major resistance up here. Pull from the high to the low. Of course, it's going to be perfectly confluent with the bottom of that extension level. So I would say like a major target here, if you could break out of the value area and get a continuation, I would say between about 68.32 and 71.56 would be a generally big resistance level. Your 5-day red dot is printing. Your 6-day red dot has not printed yet. So again, I would say not necessarily guaranteed to put in a higher high here. So I would just say if you do get a bigger bounce, this is the zone to look at. And if it does end up giving you a lower high and a lower low, the next big area of support is the same one we looked at on the live stream, which sits down here. I would break these down into 2 separate zones. I'll just leave it bigger to make it simple. 52.53 down to 46.210. Once you break down below that 786, I think you're showing major signs of weakness for a major correction. But until then, I mean, your money flow is coming into the green here. 4-day, 5-day, 6-day red dots can give you big corrections. But when looking at it on a higher time frame, this could still be a level to put in a higher low and a higher high to continue that uptrend. Same exact thing that we've looked at. We've just now seen the correction into the key support. Again, for me personally, this would be too late to enter along. Doesn't mean that might not fit your plan, but for me, that'd be late. I would have to wait for some kind of a retracement down. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to Perp, said, Frankie, do we have a potential weekly bull div? Well, we did just show it on Ethereum, but we do also potentially have a weekly bull div looking to form here on Bitcoin as well, which, as you guys know, all up here. I prefer a drop to the downside for 2 reasons, as I covered in the beginning of the stream. No massive bullish divergences down here, and this is kind of why, everybody wants to know, is the bottom in? And my simple answer to that is it's very difficult. Could it be the bottom? Sure, right? Because we always show the 2015 bottom, right? 2015 bottomed out on capitulation with no bullish divergences. So, could you bottom out? Sure. What do I prefer? I prefer to see some kind of bullish divergence. In 2018, you had the daily bull div. In 2022, you had the weekly bull div. And here, we had no high time frame confirmations, which is what kept me open to seeing a new low come in. And I did prefer this because if we do come down, even if we continue down into the major supports around $50,000 or $58,000 to $54,000, and we end up printing these weekly bullish divergences, now we can say, hey, there's a massive bullish divergence. Even if it's not the bottom, although weekly bullish divergences do have a very high probability of calling a macro bottom, you would at least anticipate some kind of a massive move up, right? And then on the way up, right, money flows in the green, very likely it's going to be a high probability that the bottom is in. We don't have it just yet, right? It's not printing, but definitely a possibility. Even on the 4-day, 5-day, etc. Very similar to Ethereum. Yeah, shout out to Onion Guy. Yeah, someone must be out there talking about the double bottom. Is the double bottom possible? Again, it is possible. Anything is possible. Only thing that makes me worried, as I said earlier, first time we got that question, was just this money flow, right? Could this money flow fake out and then we bottom out on like a double bottom? Maybe. Technically, from wick to wick, whenever this green dot prints, you're going to confirm some kind of a bull div. I prefer, even body to body as well. But you have time to print this, right? So like that daily money flow on the lower time frame of the daily could just kind of point towards maybe another push to the downside. But as I've covered here, like week after week, I'm just more in the camp that we are probably a lot closer to the bottom than a lot of people realize. And infamously, as I say every day, once we lose 47K, we could talk about potentially getting the bigger move down towards 30K, but it's just still not my base case. That 30K call, and like it doesn't mean we can't go below 47K and not hit 30K. There's also like a bunch of support before 30K as well. But I'm going to save you guys that. All right, let's I'm going to run through. We went through Ethereum, we went through Zcash, went through Hype. Take a quick look at Solana. Working its way towards our next key level, similar to Ethereum. We had our major 786 Fibonacci retracement. Actually, the one we were looking at was this one. Once you lose that value area low 786, almost exactly what we look at on Bitcoin. Once we lose that golden pocket 786 and even this golden pocket 786, right? Very likely to take out the lows. Same thing on Solana. Lose that value area low, 786. Drawn this 100 times. Looking to take out that low at 67.31. Here we are, taking out the level. We have front ran our monthly MPOC and weekly horizontal. But this does still live down there. This sits at about $58, $57.99 to be exact. So we'll see. Only other thing I can really look for here is to see if you can get some kind of an SFP up here. All right, maybe a daily SFP. You got about 2 hours left to get back above there and close your candle for a potential retracement. But there's really the only other horizontal levels I can look at here are at about $57 or $58. So key support down below if we continue, $58. Below that, don't really want to talk about it, but 43.32 at the weekly MPOC. But we won't have to talk about that level until we come and interact here. Taking a look at the higher time frames. Same thing. Potential weekly bullish divergences forming. Not confirmed yet. This candle decides to just nuke down. Right? This could get invalidated, but it is looking like you could start to form those bullish divergences. I always prefer the key levels to get tapped personally. Is it impossible to front run that? Yes. Is it high probability that you just front run these levels? Not in my experience. But again, the only other thing to look to reclaim is that previous low at 67.31. So SFP here. Maybe you can get a little bit of a bounce. Taking a look at your daily money flow, also in the red. So this could also point towards lackluster retracements, lower highs and lower lows. I would say your biggest level of resistance is going to be your value area low. Very simple. Golden pocket, 786 retracement in confluence with that value area low. If you get some kind of big retracement, this is going to be the first biggest level to bearishly retest before coming back down. Once you flip that 786, you can look to continue up, unfortunately, back into our local profile here. But I would say the line in the sand would be this value area low. Could see something like that. If you can get back in, well, technically you could get accepted into your bigger range and start heading up towards that POC. But I would say right now, money flow is coming out. Money flow indicates the overall trend. Green dot is looking to print, but that green dot with money flow coming out is going to indicate an ebb or flow to the upside for a lackluster bounce, lower high, and lower low. Next target, $58. Until we get the reclaim and money flow flips back around and fakes out, that has to be the bias. So there you go. Yo, shout out to Dave Digital said, what did you get Rob for his birthday, Frankie? I feel like I buy that guy a birthday gift every day. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob and Dave Digital. I got him his own inflatable doll. It's an inflatable Latina, I'll say. That's just his flavor. But shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. Shout out to Walking Dead, said Frankie, I'm back. Bing bong, just in time for the scoop. Just in time to scoop. Shout out to Walking Dead. Let's go, baby. Welcome back. Give him a Supra. We'll send him out a Supra. Probably, he is not from this country. So shipping that thing will probably be a nightmare. Somebody tell Rob he's got a Supra coming. Let's see. ZBC. Okay, so let's take a look at... So anyway, we took a look at Solana, took a look at XRP. We did not take a look at XRP. Worth a quick little check-in. Oh, look, our line is still drawn there. All right, now we're testing major support on XRP. Got to hold this, guys. We get accepted very simply. I'm going to go over this very quickly. We get accepted into this value area high / below this high volume node. Can't get back out. It is going to be pointing down towards the PLC at 82 cents. Lose the PLC down to the value area low at 60 cents. I'm not saying you have to go here right now. Again, there's not a lot that I can do right now. We just need price to kind of settle. If we were going to go down to 60 cents, I would not expect it to happen in one straight line. I hope not. We just need some kind of consolidation and some context in the market. Like right now, it's not really much I can do with these straight down candles. But one thing I can say is your previous value area high at $1.20, if we do get a bounce, is going to be absolutely key to break back above. If we can't reclaim this level, and we get accepted into this range, I mean, I'll just keep the original line there. PLC is going to be next at about 82 cents. Let's take a quick look at ZBCN. Oh, wow. We have not taken a look at this in a while, and here we are at the 786. Good thing we didn't check on this every day because we would have been bored. But yeah, the Golden Pocket, monthly MPOC, weekly MPOC. Golden Pocket got ran through. And technically 786. Yeah, this is, where's this pulled from? Pull this to the low. Yeah, so you got your Golden Pocket here. So I'm going to kind of reorganize this because we're tapping into the 786, which is now confluent with the full Golden Pocket retracement. So it's kind of two levels in one there. So this is going to be key. Golden Pocket. You ran through the weekly levels that we had here, so I'm just going to take those off. But you are pushing into local, I wouldn't say local, but you are pushing into some form of support here. 786 of the full fib pull sits down here at 0.0020400. So, I mean, you're at local support. I mean, again, daily money flow. Unless daily money flow flips back into the green, it's the same thing on everything. Same as Bitcoin. So money flow stays in the red. You have to be careful of lackluster retracements, lower highs, lower lows. I think if you end up putting in a lower high and a lower low, next big level to look at is going to be that 786. You can see if you have any major MPOCs. Yeah, you do have a monthly MPOC down there at the weekly at the 786. Monthly MPOC. And I'm sure you probably have a weekly in there as well. And a weekly MPOC. So you do have confluence there. But I would say you're putting in some bull divs onto this Golden Pocket locally. If you can reclaim the Golden Pocket, I think that opens the door to potentially test your value area low here at 26,197. This is going to be major resistance until proven otherwise. So the key levels I would watch right now, look at that, perfectly confluent with the Golden Pocket 786. If you get a local bounce here, this is going to be the next major level to look at. Resistance until proven otherwise. Daily money flow is in the red. So this would be the first area to look for a lower high. Not the only one, but the first one. So yeah, you can see if those divs can give you a little bounce back up. You have to flip that golden pocket back to support, and then you can look up towards, I would be looking up towards about 26.20 up to, again, 26.948. Once you flip that 786, you can look to take out this high. Flip here, you can look to crack here. And then if it does wind up being a lower high and a lower low, I would say your next macro level to look at is going to be down here towards your weekly and monthly MPOC between 20,400 and 19,915. Once you lose that, I would be anticipating to take out these lows. But we'll cross that bridge if and when we get there. Other than that, money flow looking very similar to Bitcoin. So there you go. Shout out to Bleh. Hopefully that helps you out. Let's come back into chat here real quick. Whoops. Pull up live chat. Shout out to Wahoo! Says, Frankie, can you explain what a monthly and a weekly MPOC is? I can, or actually Frankie Candles from the past can do that. If you go to the beginner series, I have a video showing you not only what they are, but how you can mark them off on your chart very easily by setting it up as a template up here on your trading view. So go check out that video, and it will teach you exactly how to do that. Let's see. Let me just pull up the, make sure I didn't miss any super chats here. Shout out to Grumpy. Thank you for the super chat, bro. Said, hello, Frankie. Can you explain on, please, on Market Cipher, when you get the confirmation of the weekly divergence, do you wait for the weekly close? Thank you. So yeah, for a high time frame confirmation like that, to me, this is setting up, right? We are putting in lower lows. And we have, let me turn the VWAP off here so you can see the actual momentum wave, right? And you have your momentum wave potentially putting in a higher low. Even if we come lower and we tap into here, this would still very likely be a higher low and would still be a valid bullish divergence. This is not printing yet. This is just setting up. I'm trying to front run a potential weekly bullish divergence here. I would consider it printing once that VWAP, right? Let's just say we do it from here, right? Once we get a bounce, you see the VWAP crossing over the zero line and printing a green dot, then I would say it's printing, right? And I'll use this previous weekly bullish divergence as an example. Right here, you have lower lows on your price action and potential higher lows on your momentum waves. This is kind of similar to where we're at. We have the red dot printing, price is pushing down, could print a weekly bullish divergence, right? We see the higher low. Hey, if a green dot prints here, and I'll pull the VWAP back up, right? Once that green dot prints, I'll just move this forward. Come on. Come on. There we go. Now the weekly bullish divergence is printing. Meaning, if we got a big dump from here, that green dot can disappear, right? So really to say it's confirmed, you want to wait for the next candle to print. Now it is confirmed. That weekly bullish divergence is locked in. Doesn't guarantee it'll play out, right? But obviously it is confirmed, has a higher probability of playing out. Now it is confirmed, right? So now you can say, hey, we have a weekly bullish divergence confirmed. Looks very nice. And then, as you move price forward, it's going to take a long time because I'm on the weekly. Right? The low is in. Money flow starts coming back up. And, of course, the weekly bull div was one of the big things I was looking at for the bottom to come in. And, obviously, eventually that wound up being the case. And then once you see this money flow starting to come up, it becomes very clear that, once that weekly money flow gets back into the green, very likely the bottom will be in. So hopefully that helps you out. Shout out to Grumpy. So it'll be exactly the same thing currently, right? It's not printing yet, right? But it could be about to print. Whether it happens from here or we have to push down lower, Once we start to see that VWAP cross it and give us the green dot, then we'll say it's printing. And then once the next candle confirms, then it's confirmed, right? Whether you want to front run the div, right? Let's say you think it's going to print here and you want to front run the div and you just think this VWAP's going to cook back up. Well, you could choose to front run it, but oftentimes waiting for confirmation is a little bit better. A little bit safer, I should say. So there you go. Let's come back to the lower time frames here on Bitcoin. Yep, just still kind of wiggling around. Got the 15-minute red dot yet for the pullback? There you go. 15-minute red dot, as I explained before. Potential little pullback here. See if we can push into that golden pocket. I don't know if it's going to happen while we're live. But the goal here, if we're going to continue up, would be to have this green dot printing. Still got 2 hours left. Green dot printing, 15-minute money flow. If this can continue up and cross into the green at the same time as that 4-hour green dot printing, you can have a market cipher B 1/16th bullish setup for a potential continuation of the uptrend. And, of course, you don't have to pull all the way down here, but this would be kind of the first significant fib that I would look at. I guess technically it could happen into this one as well. But we'll keep an eye on it. I believe the bottom is in. Another fake out. Confirmed for sure. Drop again. The emotions are running high. The emotions are running high. I am edutained. Shout out to Crypto Craze. Are you not edutained? I don't even have Mrs. Candles in here to give us some more edutainment. Or Lucy. Just riding solo here in the studio. Let's see. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, shout out to Jesse. Thank you for dropping the MPOC video for Wahoo. It will print. It looks very likely. It looks very likely that that weekly bull dip will print. Which, of course, is something that, honestly, even, like, before we finish the bull market, people will be like, where do you see the next bear market low coming in? And it's like, well, it's really hard to say that until we make the top. But what I could tell you what I would be hoping for is its weekly bullish divergences with money flow coming up. Let's see. What's an MPOC? Stick around here long enough and you'll find out. Shout out to Dave Digital says, most alts will never, and I repeat, never, never, ever, 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 like on Friday when Smokey, that girl, to never come back. That kind of never see all-time highs again. Yeah, that's my, talk about this all the time. I think it's like, statistically, like 80% of altcoins will not see their all-time highs again. And I kind of cover like long-term. I think eventually crypto will mature and into an asset where you really have to be a lot more picky about the altcoins that you pick, right? There have, in the past there was the days where you could kind of just throw a dart at a board. This is the same spiel I give every time. You could throw a dart at a board, and as long as Bitcoin pumps, everything, alt season happens, everything just moons. I think we are slowly moving out of that phase. Now I do think that alt season was obviously very muted back here. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. But this has a lot to do with lack of liquidity, etc. But I do still think that you really have to start being a little bit more picky about the altcoins that you choose. And the further I progress into my crypto journey, right, like the less percentage of my portfolio I allocate to altcoins, right? Obviously, I do buy altcoins, but like a majority of my capital, especially in this cycle, I did not expect this to be a super lackluster performance on the altcoins necessarily, but just as your capital grows, you do tend to want to be a little bit more conservative with what you invest in. So I was more invested in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, etc., and way less exposed to like lower cap altcoins, like out of the top 10. And it wound up being a really, really good decision, right? Because a lot of those altcoins did not perform. And of course, obviously, I was at a massive loss on a lot of those coins, but it wasn't as traumatic for me because obviously, weight-wise in my portfolio, the altcoins were just a much smaller percentage. So I do think that is, I will continue to be handling my bags like that. So yeah, I think it's like 80% of altcoins will not see their all-time highs. Which ones are not going to meet their all-time highs? I don't know, right? There's no way for me to call that. But I mean, a lot of altcoins, right? And this doesn't mean every single altcoin, but a lot of altcoins that are down, 95%. Chances of like one of the famous ones that we look at are Peak, which full disclosure I did buy. Let's take a look at it on, I guess, Kraken. I'm just trying to find something with the most price history. Maybe KuCoin. There we go. Is Peak gonna recover? I don't know. I don't know, right? But like this has, I would just keep that in mind. Especially like we talk about like the older coins, right? Like the polka dots, just the older coins that have gotten these massive, massive dumps, like down to new lows. I think it'd be really hard for them to recover. I'm not saying that DOT's not going to make a new all-time high, even in the bull market. Let's take a look at DOT actually. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really, really hard for this thing to recover to new all-time highs. And even in the bull market this cycle, if we had like the true alt season and all the alts performed as people would hope they would, I was not even looking at brand new all-time highs. And we talked about how you have to be careful about these older kind of dino coins just putting in lower highs, which obviously we were unable to get up here because there was such a lack of liquidity. But I honestly think if we had like all the liquidity that we had in 2021 or 2017, there'd be a good chance that Polkadot would just come in here and put in a lower high and eventually roll back over. These older coins are, a lot of them have a hard time getting the hype that they had. Crypto's all speculation. So, and we didn't even make it up to the full golden pocket retracement. What did we make it up to? The retracement from the lower high. So, it's going to be really hard. Again, is it going to go back to all-time highs? I don't know. But I would say it's very hard. It's down 99%. And this is why I always kind of caution people. I have people asking me, what altcoin should I buy? Of course, they always ask me when Bitcoin is up here. And it's just like, man, like even XRP, right? I had many people asking me, like, when should I buy? Should I buy XRP now? It's pumping. I think I'm going to sell all my other altcoins that haven't pumped and buy XRP right here. And I try to warn them, and they just don't want to do it. And like, not only are they buying it up here, they're putting their net worth in it. And I try to help them, and they just don't want to hear it, right? They have like that gambler's mentality. They want to change their life overnight, and I get it. But it's a dangerous game to play. You're trading off your emotions, and it's just, 80% of altcoins will not go back to their all-time high. That just is what it is. Hopefully they do. Hopefully that just ends up not being the case. But that is not my anticipation. And for me to say, do I think DOT has a high chance of going to new all-time highs? No. Other things that hold up much better obviously have a better chance of surviving, right? And a lot of the newer coins, like you see things like Hype pushing into new all-time highs recently. I think you just got to be a lot more picky nowadays, unfortunately. Now, maybe in the next cycle, we have the liquidity that we've had in the previous cycles, and we get a little bit more juice in the alt season, and that helps things pump a lot harder. Like I said, I don't think the reason a lot of altcoins didn't perform here was because a lot of altcoins don't go to their all-time high. This had a lot to do with a lack of liquidity, right? So first-term analytics, like no one really cared about this bull market. So hopefully that helps someone out. What if someone is 100% altcoins, 0% Bitcoin? Shout out to Heon. I mean, listen, everybody's got a strategy. I mean, unless someone has a very specific strategy, I think it's a really risky situation. And I think this cycle really pointed that out to people. Yeah, problem is we are social creatures. Confirmation bias is really is very real. Yeah, 100%. That's why I always tell people, listen, I love the crypto communities, right? And it's it's an awesome thing. I've met a lot of really cool people in crypto, a lot of like-minded people. But when it comes to these like cult altcoin communities, I guess the best way I can say it is I feel really bad for these people, especially as someone who's a technical analyst, right? Like I understand how the market moves. I trade based off the charts. I just feel really bad for these people. I mean, take XRP for example as like the most obvious case of it. There's this one influencer that is just like always calling for XRP to go to $10,000 next Tuesday. Oh, guys, this happened. It's actually going to be October 14th, 2026. That's going to happen. Or next, they just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And they just keep like building these cult audiences. They probably have financial incentive to do it. And these poor people holding XRP are just like at the mercy of these people. It's going higher. Just hold it. Just hold it. Just hold it. And they just keep holding through the dumps and holding through the dumps and holding through the dumps and holding through the dumps. Where when you trade technically, you just look at the major targets. You look at the macro confirmations, right? Like if I see a weekly bullish divergence up here, money flow starting to come out, I am not expecting even $5, right? Let alone $10,000. These people just, and that's why I teach the charts because it is the price, right? It is, volume is price. The charts are the truth. I'm never going to come up here and be like, guys, don't worry, the chart looks bearish, but Sesame Street just came out with their 7,000th episode anniversary. That means XRP is going to $10,000. I will never do that to my community ever, and I don't understand how people continue to watch that content. It blows my mind. But the thing is, you get stuck in that kind of again, that kind of confirmation bias. It's like you start holding it down, and then you're just kind of like stuck with you're giving these people false hope, and they want to hold on to it. It's like, oh yeah, they said it's going up, so like I feel better about holding my bag when it's down. Trading is a PvP game. Someone's got to lose money. Right? So the people who are going to make money are the people that sell, not the people that are just going to hold their bags down hoping for some kind of magic thing to happen and send XRP to $10,000. Hopefully it happens. But, again, I've explained time and time again, I don't have targets anywhere near $10,000. Our target, again, if the alt season played out like they typically do, with massive euphoria, my major targets here for XRP, I mean, forget $10,000, forget $100. I can pull them up. I still have it marked off on the chart, I'm sure. Where's it at? Predictions. I got to zoom out. Target number 1 was $5, right? And then talking you guys kind of through this and of course, we looked at this locally, identified the signs of weakness, chances of this being very unlikely to get hit, because we did come into local Fibonacci extension targets. They're not on the chart anymore. But if we saw that explosive alt season, everything broke out. Target number 1 was $5. Target number 2 was $8. And then target 3 and 4, I saw as a super low probability. This is like, oh my God, Bitcoin's at 500K. Everything's exploding. 11 to $14, right? Like even these were very conservative, massive targets. But of course, we didn't get the liquidity. The true alt season in the traditional sense didn't happen, although there was an alt season, right? It was right here, clear as day. It just wasn't what everybody was hoping for. Well, how do you know if you're going to get that massive alt season, right? Technical confirmations. That's how we do it, right? 10K, best I could do was $5. Yeah. And then you see these cult coins like XRP, Cardano. These are the ones that everybody hates on. And I think the reason people hate them so much, right? You see it in the chat all the time. Everybody, XRP is trash. I hate XRP. And I think the reason for it is because people just anticipate these super unrealistic returns. If you're just buying the bearish technicals and you're riding it, right, back here in 2023, 2024, you're accumulating XRP at 42 cents and you ride up, that's a 757% increase. It's a beautiful opportunity to make some money, right? An asset that performs 750% to the upside is not bad, right? But it's horrible when you're calling for $10,000 and you make it to $3. It's crazy. That's why just get the emotion out of emotions have no place in your investing ever. And that's why I personally don't even pay attention to the narratives, because the narratives bring emotion, and I'm not going to care about the narratives if I understand what I'm looking at on the chart. I was buying Bitcoin when FTX collapsed, guys. If I was listening to the narratives, I would have been like, oh, it's just super bearish, send it to zero. I was buying it. Why? Not because I'm crazy, but because of the technical confirmations. And time and time again, it plays out. Hopefully that makes sense. Take ashwagandha to have zero emotions. Shout out to Levy. Little hack. Yeah, shout out to Golden Child. Said, if this is like the last bear market, the bottom may be in, but it's going to range close to it for the rest of the summer. Yeah, I mean, historically, now you could just pull the bars pattern. If you want to just, I wouldn't expect it to look exactly like this, right? But something like this. Oops. So who knows? Maybe the bottom is more... if the bottom is in, right, it would look something like that. There's your weekly bullish divergence, right? If the weekly bull div doesn't confirm until we make the new low, let me just, right? This is just a little bit, I was looking at this with the premium Discord. This is just a little bit, this would just be kind of crazy if it was just perfectly, come on, I hate this. This would be like a little too close to perfect. But yeah, I mean, you just kind of range around, right? And even up here, you're technically still within the range. Then you retest, send it up. But at the end of the day, this is accumulation. Does it mean you go lower? Yes. But at the end of the day, this is not where you're looking for a major capitulation. Could it happen? Is it possible, Frankie? Yes, it is possible to capitulate to 30K. But again, not the highest probability right now. If this winds up playing, guys, we'll have to make a compilation of our old streams. Because again, I don't always anticipate things to play out exactly like they do in the past. But this would just be like just so similar. But regardless if it looks similar or not, a bullish divergence is a bullish divergence. As always, great info. Shout out to Alisis. Appreciate you. Welcome in. Yeah, it's like when people ask me, is the bottom in? I don't know, right? It's just like the same thing as I don't know if the bottom is in here. I don't know if the bottom is in here. Once the weekly bullish divergence confirms and the money flow starts coming up, I say, hey, I think the bottom is in. The weekly divergence was the major signal I was looking for. But the question is the, like, I think it's, you don't want to miss the forest for the trees. I talk about this every day. If the bottom is not in, do I think the bottom is going to come in down here? Probably not. Right? Not my base case. If this is going to happen, we will see the signs on the chart around 50 to 47K. If it's the case, I'll talk about it coming in. But right now, it's like, is the bottom in? I don't know. It's like, maybe it comes in here. 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 But overall, like I've shown many and many a times, every single day, I bring this up, bring up the RSI, get market cipher off the chart, look at the RSI from a very simple perspective, and we'll even pull up the moving averages. I did this yesterday in the market update. Just get that 300 week. Oops. Just mark all this out for you. And of course, this doesn't change, it literally doesn't change my bias at all. This is just reiterating what we've talked about. Oversold RSI. I'll zoom it out. Oversold RSI, bottom is in. Oversold RSI. This has only happened 1, 2, 3 times. 4 times now in this current cycle. Oversold RSI, bottom is in. Oversold RSI, bottom is in. Oversold RSI, bottom is not in. Right? It's not perfect. But were you about to capitulate 50%? No. Were you about to capitulate 50%? No. Were you about to capitulate 50%? No. You were coming into your 200-week moving average. We bottomed out there in 2015. We bottomed out there in 2018 before retesting the 300-week, which was still a higher low. So the bottom was in at the 200. We are now approaching these key levels again, and this is why I say this is the time to pay attention to crypto. What is the sentiment here? Absolute trash. Bitcoin is going to zero. What is the sentiment here? I had my channel here. The sentiment was Bitcoin is going to 8K, 7K. We are testing these levels once again with the indications pointing towards the bottom being close. Bottom watch 2026. And you could feel the sentiment, right? Nobody wants to hear this. Just like nobody wanted to hear us calling the top up here. Now again, if it looked like the top was coming in and we continued up, would that be possible? Sure, it's possible, but it's not likely based off the technical confirmations, right? Could we come down here, print a weekly bullish divergence, it doesn't play out, and then we drop 50%? Maybe. But is it high probability? Not really. It could become high probability, but there is no sign on the chart for that right now. Once it becomes higher probability, we start losing 47K, then we can call for it. But all of these things are pointing more towards potential high time frame bullish divergences into the exact key levels that we had started accumulation in every other cycle. So to me, not even to me, right, but to the charts, all the indications point towards accumulation, no capitulation. All the indications pointed towards accumulation, no capitulation. Those same exact signals popped up here. They indicated accumulation, not capitulation. All of those same signals are now popping up right here. Does that mean that we can't go down lower? No, we totally can. But I do just think that it could be potentially missing the forest for the trees. Is the bottom in? I mean, maybe not the dollar bottom, but it does look like we are much closer to accumulation rather than a 50% capitulation. We have never gotten a 50% drop below the 300-week moving average, ever. It's always kind of been where the bottom comes in. So, am I a buyer down here or a seller? I'm a buyer. Am I a buyer down here or a seller? I'm a buyer. Am I a buyer down here or a seller? I'm a buyer. Could it be wrong? Sure. If we continue lower, I will weighted dollar cost average in. So, hopefully it helps some of you guys. Because I know it gets very emotional. I know it gets very bearish. I knew the sentiment was going to be trash today. But it is what it is. Maybe we get oversold again. Right? Maybe we have a black swan event. Maybe some crazy black swan event. Right? If the stock market gets a big capitulation, maybe that helps us get down to 30K. There's always a bullish and a bearish case. This is the more bullish case, and I have this marked off on the chart, my 2 likely scenarios for the Bitcoin bear market. It's very simple. Scenario number 1, something like this. Basically what I just explained. Scenario number 2, 30K. I just can't call for this until we lose the major key levels. And I would say you have more pointing towards this scenario. I personally don't really care. If we drop down to 30K, I would actually like that as an opportunity. But, I can't call for, if we had the 300-week moving average coming in here, the 200-week moving average coming in here, it would be very, very, very easy for me to say, hey, guys, buckle up. We're going down. But we just don't. So there you go. Bulls versus Bears. Let's see. I went all in on this dip. Wish me luck. Shout out to Supa. I'm more of a dollar cost average guy. Again, because then you're going to, you could potentially, unless you're ready to handle those emotions, I never recommend people put their whole bag in, because then if you get a drop down to 47K, you're going to feel really, really, really scared. I wouldn't even really worry about not getting in from lower, but you're going to be at risk of being like, oh my God, are we going down to 30K? Should I sell it here before the big capitulation? I like to dollar cost average, because if I'm in from here, and then we drop here, I don't have to worry about selling my bag. I could just weighted dollar cost average down, lowering my average entry price. It's the exact same thing I did down here with a beautiful entry between $20,000 and $21,000. I'm just doing the same thing I did last cycle, all based off the charts. So hopefully that helps you out. Never say Bitcoin can't go to 30K. I would agree with that. Shout out to Hopium. A lot of people would be like, Bitcoin will never go below 100K. I'm like, obviously we're below 100K, but yeah, never say never. Trust me, I have been trading these markets long enough to understand anything is possible, which is why I always cover the bearish case, right? You're never going to see me say, there's no way we could go to 30K. There's an argument to go to 30K. There's just I need the signal for it to happen. There's absolutely a scenario where we go to 30K. But in order for me to call that the higher probability scenario, I would have to lose this POC at 47K. Then it would be the highest probability to come to the value area low, which sits at 30,560. So bearish case, again, I keep these on the chart for a reason. Bearish case, bullish case. Bullish case doesn't need to play out. More of the indicators and the technical levels are pointing towards this being the higher probability until we get down below that 47K POC. Then the bearish scenario is higher probability. Let's see. Shout out to Blab. We could take a quick look at Caspa. I want to do this quickly. So, yeah, you have interacted with your monthly and your weekly here. Your next key level to the downside is going to be this weekly MPOC sitting at 0.024 to 0.023. I don't know why I'm drawing this as a range. Your MPOC is coming at 0.024116. I was reading out the box. So that's going to be your next major level to the downside. You do not have a weekly, well, you had a weekly bull div here. The money flow is deep in the red. If that's a higher low, maybe you get that to play out. But, again, I don't really want to focus a lot on the altcoins, right? Because until Bitcoin shows its cards, it's going to be really hard to kind of care about these altcoins. But, yeah, if you put another low in, I would say this is your next major key level of support. Biggest level to get above right now is going to be to get back above this weekly and this monthly. Sitting between 33,457 and 34,599. So right now I would say if you can't reclaim, if you cannot reclaim the weekly and monthly, there's no real reason to look for a push up. If you get stuck underneath here and get a new low, that's the next big key level to look at. So major resistance, major support. If you get above here and push above the highs, I would. I mean, this is a super low time frame wonky range. Coming down to a lower time frame. Trying to see where I pulled this. It was probably pulled from here originally. Yeah. So I guess you could technically pull that like this. Come on. Get rid of that MPOC. So there you go. If you can get above this weekly and you push above the highs, this is your biggest level of resistance. Until then, this is it. Get a breakdown below. You're looking right here. Money flow, and again, this is going to pretty much be tied to what Bitcoin does, which is why, I wouldn't really be interested in trading this personally. Yeah, got your 2-week red dot looking to print. I mean, I would watch this key level down here. If you can't reclaim any of this, I'd be watching down here, 24,116. So there you go. Daily money flow also in the red. So there you go. Some key levels to look at. You could also pull this as a range as well. But yeah. Let's see. What's up, Frankie? Shout out to Always Bullish. Welcome in, brother. Welcome in. Resident Crypto says everything is dumping. What? Everything's dumping. Let's see. Wow, long stream today. 2-hour stream. Typical live stream here. I think our record is 5 hours. Isn't the bullish div on the RSI already? I mean, you would want to wait for it to push back up. Otherwise, I mean, if this thing just nukes, that weekly bull div can be invalidated. That's why I like Market Cipher, because you could actually watch for it to confirm, right? Because right now it's printing. And to be honest, I don't know if I would really like the Market Cipher bullish divergence if we didn't have the RSI bull div. If we had the RSI bull div and the Market Cipher bull div, that's what we had in 2022. That would look a lot better, in my opinion. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on this. Shout out to Sam. Welcome in. Says Frankie Mafia. CandleMafia. Going fishing till October. I'll think of you on the long casts. Shout out to Bullish on Parade. Let's go, baby. Catch us some monsters. Where are you going fishing, bro? That's awesome. Going fishing until October? Like from now until October? That's a long fishing trip. That's fire. Shout out to Black Mamba. Welcome in. Said, Frankie, what's up, brother? Long time. Shout out to Black Mamba. Welcome back. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you can just see how many people kind of lost interest in crypto because we got all the OGs coming back. And, of course, a nice little dump on Biddy will do that for you. But, yeah, guys, that's my plan here. Push below 60K. Nice to finally see that happen. I'm letting things kind of settle down here. But, again, if you were looking for a continued bounce here, bouncing off the value area low currently, if this is going to be a sustainable push to the upside, very simply, POC can be a longer-term target. Flip the POC, potential value area high as a long-term target, 67 to call it 70,000. Simple volume profile to look at. You can copy these levels. Value area low, 59.8. POC 67.3, value area high 70,200. We have the SFP of 60K. You have a potential 4-hour bullish divergence printing. And again, the thing I will be looking for here is this 15-minute money flow crossing into the green while our 4-hour green dot is printing. You still have 1 hour and 24 minutes. So if we can get that 15-minute money flow crossover sooner than later, that's what I would look at to anticipate the continuation of the local trend. And the major levels of resistance, I'll give you the next targets right here, so you can just go straight to your chart and mark them off. On the way to the POC and the value area high, you have the golden pocket, 65K. Above that, you have 66 to 68K. Honestly, if you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. I went over this in detail, but just to give it to you, the numbers before we sign off, get above that POC, we'll be looking at 70,000 to 71,500. But I think the simplest way to look at this is through this larger volume profile, understanding that you have those local resistances along the way. This is what we're looking for. Get the continuation up, trap 1, trap 2, trap 3. Until then, if we can get that 15-minute money flow crossover, that would be absolutely beautiful. But still a lot of weakness in the market, so just be careful. If you're in the green on any longs, don't forget to pay yourself along the way. No data. What the heck just happened? Okay, we're back. We went dark. They tried to take us out. They tried to take us out, guys. But there you go. Oh, my God, there's, oh, no, 566. I thought that said 666. So that's what I'm looking at, guys. Hopefully this information helped you out. If you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. I don't know what just happened there. We just lost internet for a second. I bet you Mrs. Candles pulled out the plug. All the trading hats in the nice colors are sold out. I'll wait for the next ones. Shout out to Mariella. Yeah, I'll have to let Tony D know about that. We'll have to order some more colors. But yeah, with all that being said, guys, that's all the time we got for today's live stream. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss these live streams and urgent market updates and all these beautiful calls for these lower prices. So we'll see if we can get the low time frame bounce. Be careful. Money flow is coming out on the daily, but come on. Maybe we can get a little bit of a retracement here. We haven't been able to get one on any of these drops. So watch that 4-hour SFP, that value area low, and scrub back to the beginning of the stream to get all the key levels in anticipation. So that's all I got for today's live stream. I will see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. Don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive. Don't trade and drive. Don't pull your fib and drive. I want to see all you guys back here on Monday. And if you've tuned in for the first time in a while, welcome back. That's all the time I got. I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor.